Right now, the priorities are to stop the fighting and call for the killing, and to get the negotiation process underway, whatever it is that those negotiating processes decide this country needs in order to be able to regain its balance, come back to some form of normality.
After our initial encounter with the White Army, we had returned to Nasser at nightfall because our driver got a call from his boss. He said it was too dangerous to stick around. Back in Nasser, we find another vehicle to get us back up into the fight.
Titanic. Swapping deck chairs on the Titanic.
How these young drivers came about owning these new Toyotas soon becomes clear.
It's a nice truck.
Oh, you killed the owner.
You killed the owner?
Yeah.
Just before entering Malakal, we are each issued a red headband. This is to prevent us from being shot, or so they say.
Always wanted to join the rebels.
The trickle of people we first saw fleeing Malakal now becomes a stream as civilians and soldiers head south towards Nasser. We are also passed by more members of the White Army streaming in to join the fight. The Nuer men who made up the White Army were estimated at about 30,000 strong, an incredibly large force considering there are no logistics, no supply, and not even water in a town of 125,000 people. As we enter Malakal, we pass medieval-style encampments. Each group is piling up their plunder. Rebels are driving stolen aid vehicles. The hallmarks of rape, murder, and other atrocities are evident everywhere we look. Fighters walk about aimlessly, looking for food, more loot, or more revenge. We finally meet up with the general. His headquarters is a mud house surrounded by terrified women and children.
Hello, General. Good to see you again.
Welcome, you sit.
The general who assured us before that all was calm is now assuring us again, in the middle of all this wanton violence and chaos, that Uganda will pay $50,000 for every Nuer their troops have killed. Surprisingly, he also insists that any contract with Western companies will be canceled because they are corrupt.
This is the end of it. This is the end of the contracts. Okay? We are going to make our own deal with our own companies that we have the interest in. Yeah. Now you have the Nuer White Army. Okay? You have the Nuer SPLA. Okay? You have the Nuer police. Now the Dinka they don't have Dinka White Army. Where is the Dinka White Army of Salva Kiir Mayadi? It is now the White Army who are fighting them.
What about the Gelwang or something? They have a Gelwang?
Gelwang?
Yeah.
This Gelwang has been killed.
Oh.
Yes. We brought here, they are all killed. Gelwang, whatever Gelwang, they are all killed here. Huh? Yeah. Gelwang is not working.
The general may have been in charge inside that hut, but outside, chaos reigned. Before fighting broke out, the population of Malakal was about 125,000. Now, the only civilians we can see are either shell-shocked or corpses. The White Army had scoured the city like termites, decimating its inhabitants, burning their homes in what seemed to be an indiscriminate fashion. Despite the lack of money, food, or water, the army subsisted on violence. Not wanting to be seen as an ungracious host amongst the pilfering and slaughter of humans, the general offered to show us around Malakal. The general stopped to chat up a group of the White Army. What he thought was a good photo op for us turned into an angry demand for food, water, and medical help, as well as adding to the overall confusion.
Hey, what do you want to say?
What do you
What was supposed to be a victory lap for the general turned out to be an embarrassing reality check. Malakal had been won and lost before. After this, it would be retaken and lost again. Most of the fighters had taken their revenge. They had their loot, they had found their families, and they just wanted to go home. Some were eager to move forward to Rink and Malut, South Sudan's main oil centers, and the primary source of income for President Salva Kiir's government.
We are banning this thing for the reason because the enemies find themselves in the house.
This is my country, Malakal.
You know, and we are going toward Rang and Malut. We will go very soon.
And they're shooting at you?
They are shooting on us. When we are coming on the road, they are shooting on us. That is why we are banning this house. We don't need any government side or Salva Kiir is people in upper now.
Yes, sir. You don't have anything again. Okay?
Some people think we are too young for democracy. We're not too young for democracy. I don't buy that. The West sometimes think Africa needs to wait till it develops so that democracy can be established. That sometimes the West supports dictatorship with assumption that dictatorship brings stability. Doesn't.
Just a little bit chaos. Just nervous because I don't see people organized. When you don't know what's going on, people just running back and forth. If you don't have, nothing to, these people, they have nothing to lose.
Wife be upset if she heard all the guns firing and saw the dead bodies?
I know she'd be upset. Yeah, last night when I was talking to her, she's like, don't go there. I said, well, I'm going with Robert and be okay. You look like now everybody's shooting, so, yeah.
Machot was doing his best to explain what was going on. This was war, after all. These were his people. This was his country. But how the hell was he going to fix this? His hopes and dreams for his homeland dashed. And it wasn't like the rebels or the White Army were going to stick around and save South Sudan either. Most of the rebels had pulled their families out of the UN camps and headed into the bush. About a month after our departure from Malakal, the White Army would be summoned again to do their ugly business in the oil centers of Rink, Malut, and Bentiu. I had brought Machot here because he genuinely wanted to save South Sudan. His hard life of being a child soldier, a refugee, and a lost boy had given him motivation to come back to prevent others from experiencing his fate. What he saw was a new nation moving from peaceful prosperity, being plunged into civil war. Going back over the rhetoric of Dr. Riek Machar and his wife Angelina about the need for political dialogue, the horrors we had witnessed here over the last few days made all of their polite conversations seem like lip service.
Machot, the peace bringer.
It was apparent that despite untold promises of peace, wealth, and stability, South Sudan had failed. Machot left the front lines defeated, disenchantment taking hold as he realized he would not be saving South Sudan. South Sudan had once again reverted to its natural state, a harsh reality of hand-to-mouth living, a never-ending search for sustenance in a world virtually unchanged since the very first outsiders came to save South Sudan.
A report released by the UN in early May is the first in-depth examination of the violent ethnic civil strife that is tearing apart South Sudan. It states that thousands have been killed and more than 1 million South Sudanese have been displaced. 6.9 million people in the region are facing the threat of mass starvation.
So many people, I cannot count, and I cannot see the starting point, and I cannot see the ending point. I never see that much of people in my life.